This is a video about the dog barking at the telly and the person whose dog it is shouting at the dog for barking at the telly. The analogy is that pain protects someone from a perceived sense of danger when actually there isn't any real danger in the activity now. See if this analogy helps you change your interpretation of a particular task, whether that's sitting or walking or going to see someone, anything that's a trigger for your pain, a physical trigger or a psychological trigger that you recognise. See if you can change it using this analogy. My name's Drew, I'm a physiotherapist in the UK and the northeast of England, and I'm fascinated by pain, particularly persistent pain where the body's nervous system has embodied the prediction of pain or the reflection of a painful time, and now the person feels pain much quicker and more often and more constantly than they should, and that process can be reversed. This video is looking at describing an analogy of a dog barking at a telly, and on the telly there's another dog. Now the dog's instinct is to protect the owner. Now there isn't a real dog in the room, it's an image of a dog that looks like a threat to this dog that's barking, and it's barking to protect the owner. So it's saying, I'm seeing something I think is dangerous and I'm telling you about it. Bark, bark, bark. Now the owner knows there's no real dog in the room apart from his own or her own. They don't like the noise of that dog, so they shout at the dog, stop barking. Now the dog's interpretation of that, because it's a dog, thinks that the owner's praising it for the barking. What, you got it, haven't you? There's a dog barking on the telly and I'm telling you about it. Yeah, you're shouting too. Perfect. Both of us are barking at the dog. I'm doing the right behaviour. So the dog thinks it's being rewarded for being shouted at. The person who's doing the shouting is encouraging the dog to bark more at an imaginary threat, because it's television, and is getting an unpleasant feedback because their behaviour isn't stopping the dog barking. Okay, let's compare that to pain. So let's say the pain is the dog, and the pain is wired in the same part of the brain, the animalistic, the lizard brain if you want, or limbic system, emotional system. It's just reactive, so there's an instinctual basis for it, but it's been amplified by this moment. So dogs should bark at other dogs, or dogs should protect you, or potential have, depending on the breed and one thing or another, have the potential to do that, but it can be amplified and trained into the dog so it does it automatically. Or it can be trained out, but the dog will always have the ability to bark. So you'll always have the ability to feel pain, but should you feel it at the intensity you feel it with certain activities? No. It shouldn't be with sitting, it shouldn't be with walking, it shouldn't be bending over to pick something up, it shouldn't be sitting at a computer desk. Yes, there'll be a potential for pain with all of those things, but normal for the person's height, weight, age, size, blah blah blah, physiological capabilities that can be conditioned up or down with practice, but it shouldn't be amplified by threat that isn't real. So take the pain of, let's say, sitting or walking or bending. The pain is there to protect the person from this perceived threat. Now remember, the threat isn't real. The pain has become conditioned to sitting or bending or walking because the person has anticipated it being a problem, remembered it being a problem, so the person goes forward in time or they go backwards in time with, this is going to be dangerous, this was dangerous, it hurt to sit in the chair before, it's going to hurt sitting in the chair in the future. Doesn't matter whether it's 5 seconds ahead or 5 seconds past, or 5 minutes ahead, or 5 minutes past, 5 years ahead, 5 years past, it doesn't matter. The pain, the dog, if you like, is picking up on that thought that's unconscious in the person's mind now. They might have some conscious overlay saying this is going to hurt, but it triggers the amygdala to trip the pain system so someone feels pain on a non-dangerous stimulus. The person feels the pain on the prediction of what's to come. It's an unpleasant experience, and what do? Shout at the dog, "Ugh, it hurts, I'm mad about this, it really upsets me, I can't sit for any more than a minute, I can't walk around the block, it hurts to bend." They are reinforcing the pain system with adrenaline and focus and intent and attention without being aware of it. What drives the frustration is often, I should be able to sit longer, I should be able to push through this pain, I should be able to do more than I can do, I'm not enough unless I push through pain. That's when you can trace it back to lots of conditioned learning in childhood, where you were taught to push through pain and taught to suppress how you feel, and it was expected of you, and it was almost embodied long before you had conscious choice, either because it was pretty Larry as a childhood, or you were conditioned to get approval or love based on how you perform. So someone might say, I had a lovely childhood, happy childhood if you like, but if they have these traits and they have these behaviours, that's often some of the conditioning. Yeah, it was happy as long as you behaved, as long as you delivered, and that can be a happy experience, but it can put you under a lot of pressure. So, and if the balance is right, fine, but if persistent pain has appeared, something's not quite right. So to reverse the process, you have to present the nervous system with the prospect of the threat, sitting, bending, going somewhere, an emotional state, whatever it is. You're going to present it to your own nervous system like you're going to turn the telly on and you're going to see the dog's going to probably want to bark. Now, there's a neurological imprint that the dog's going to go for as soon as you put the telly on. There's a neurological imprint that the body's going to go into as soon as you think about sitting or walking or standing, for example, whatever the trigger is. And you have to get calm before you present that, ready for the dog barking or getting ready to bark. And if you're looking at behaviour change, you're looking at getting another neurological, a neurophysiological imprint that's different from the default or the amplified response that you're not liking. So you have to get a different response from the dog barking, but you're not going to get it from shouting at it, being fearful of it, being frustrated of it if it's pain. You're only going to get it if you change the state you're in. Okay? And if you can change your state before you come to the new behaviour, perfect. If you wait till you're already in it, it's a little tricky. If the dog's already barking, you're a little late in your kind of intervention. So you have to have it ready. So think about the dog, for example. Let's go back to this analogy. In the presence of you putting the telly on, the dog's seeing a dog on the telly, it's going to bark and you know it's coming, but there is no danger now, and you're presenting that imprint to the dog, so you ignore the dog. You would look at a newspaper, you would read a book, the dog starts to bark, you do nothing. You're not ignoring it, you're just not giving it additional attention, you're acknowledging it. And as soon as the dog calms down, you praise it. Now the dog starts to learn, what, I'm shouting about this other dog on the telly and it's really dangerous, and I'm not being rewarded. But actually when I calm down a bit, you reward me. Alright, well this mustn't be a danger. If you're alright with that telly, I'm alright with it, because you're my leader. So when you are calm in the presence of sitting, the pain starts to follow your lead. If you are calm in the presence of bending up to pick a chair, well, it's not dangerous, your pain will follow your lead. If you are calm in the presence of going into a situation that normally triggers your symptoms, your pain will follow. Now remember, the dog needs repetition, so you reward yourself, or you reward the dog for being calm, and then you get back to reading your paper. It might go back to barking again. You will just read the paper, you're staying calm. If you're staying calm, however challenging that might be, to wait till the dog's calm and you appraise it again. Now you're creating a new neurological imprint in the presence of the telly and the barking dog on the telly. The dog stops that behaviour, or starts to change that behaviour, so then the dog has a new lead in terms of how to behave, and it comes from your lead. So in the presence of sitting or bending or walking or putting your shoes on or going somewhere that triggers pain physically, emotionally, psychologically, you are presenting a state of calm to your nervous system before and in preparation for when the body goes into that state. And you're rewarding yourself for staying calm for however long you can do it. If it's a minute, great. If it's longer, great. And you praise yourself for completing the task. Win, lose or draw. It doesn't matter if the dog's still barking. It doesn't matter if you still get pain. There will be a certain memory and imprint starting to be implanted when the dog actually starts to see you not reacting to its behaviour from trying to protect you, because pain is just trying to protect you. Pain is a feedback loop of your body trying to protect you, often from you, from craving those behaviours they've always done that have led to pain, thought patterns, emotional charges, reactive behaviours, pretty much unconscious, that have made you temporarily feel better. And if you can make yourself feel calm without those behaviours, without the extensive use of them that came probably from a time of stress that ends up triggering a default pattern of repeating what should be a stress reducing behaviour, but unfortunately becomes a stress inducing and painful behaviour, then you've got an alternate way to act in the presence of those cues, and that's the way that you can change those reactive behaviours, and that's the way you can change the pain. So go back to that analogy, the dog barking at the telly. Are you screaming at your own dog for barking at the telly? And if you are, you're going to stop, you're going to pause, you're going to wait for the system to calm and reward yourself as you do it. You have to be the lead. Not easy. Maybe this analogy doesn't work, maybe it does for you. If it does, it's another way to kind of view your symptoms as a protective mechanism, but firing at a time it doesn't need that much protection. Protect yourself with your calm behaviours and you won't need the other stuff.